The sound of her voice, sharp and clipped, stopped me in my tracks. "He's been acting strangely," Leora was saying, her tone laced with a hint of annoyance. "Distracted, preoccupied. He even submitted an application to that ridiculous Vanguard mission." A deeper voice rumbled in response. "The Vanguard? That's hardly suitable for a man of his talents. He belongs here, at the Academy." "Precisely," Leora agreed. "But he seems determined to throw his career away on some foolish adventure. I had to intervene." "Intervene?" the official questioned. "I pulled some strings," Leora admitted, her tone casual. "Adjusted his application score, flagged some concerns about his psychological profile. Nothing major, just enough to ensure he doesn't make the cut." My blood ran cold. The casualness with which she admitted to manipulating the system, to sabotaging my dreams, was a revelation. "He's a brilliant scientist, of course," Leora continued, her voice laced with a condescending fondness. "But he lacks ambition. He needs guidance, a firm hand to steer him towards his true potential. And that's where I come in." The official chuckled. "Indeed, Captain Renfield, your influence is undeniable. The High Council holds you in high regard. And with Dr. Kane by your side, your future is assured." I turned and walked away, my footsteps silent on the polished floor. I didn't confront her, didn't demand an explanation. There was no need. The overheard conversation had revealed everything I needed to know. The hum of the Academy was a constant, a low-frequency thrum that vibrated through the polished floors and sterile white walls. It was the sound of progress, of knowledge, of humanity's relentless push towards the stars. But for me, Elias Kane, it was starting to sound a lot like a cage. I adjusted the microscope, peering at the bioluminescent algae I'd collected from a newly discovered planet in the Andromeda Galaxy. Fascinating, yes, but safe. Predictable. Everything in the Academy was safe and predictable. Even my life. My lab was a testament to that safety. State-of-the-art equipment, a generous research budget, a team of eager assistants hanging on my every word. I was Dr. Elias Kane, rising star of xenobiology, a man destined for a comfortable career within the ivory towers of the Interstellar Federation Academy, and engaged to Captain Leora Renfield, no less. She was everything a man in my position was supposed to want. Ambitious, driven, with connections that reached the highest echelons of the Federation High Council. Yet, as I watched the alien algae pulse with an eerie green light, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was living someone else's life. A life meticulously planned, devoid of risk, of the thrill of the unknown. I'd always been a dreamer. As a kid, I devoured old Earth adventure novels, my imagination soaring amongst the starships and alien worlds. I longed to be an explorer, a pioneer, pushing the boundaries of known space, encountering new life forms, unraveling the mysteries of the universe. But somewhere along the way, that dream had been replaced by the pragmatic pursuit of stability. The Academy, with its promise of a secure future and a respected position, had seemed like the logical choice. And Leora, with her unwavering ambition and her clear vision of our shared future, had reinforced that choice. "You're brilliant, Elias," she'd say, her voice a mix of admiration and subtle control. "You have a gift. Don't waste it on frivolous pursuits. Here, within the Federation, you can make a real difference." And I'd believed her. I'd buried my dreams of exploration under a mountain of research grants and peer-reviewed publications. I'd become the scientist I was supposed to be, not the explorer I yearned to be. But the yearning remained, a persistent itch beneath the surface of my carefully constructed life. It whispered to me in the quiet hours, in the sterile silence of my lab, in the moments when the hum of the Academy became unbearable. It spoke of uncharted worlds, of alien wonders, of a life beyond the confines of my gilded cage. And as I gazed at the alien algae, its glow a stark contrast to the sterile white walls of my lab, I knew that something had to change. I couldn't ignore the call of the unknown any longer. I had to find a way to break free, to reclaim the dreams I had buried, to become the explorer I was always meant to be. The news crackled across the Academy's comm system, a jolt of energy in the monotonous hum of daily life. The ISS Vanguard, a new Frontier-class exploration vessel, was preparing for its maiden voyage, a deep space mission pushing beyond the charted territories into the uncharted depths of the galaxy. My heart quickened. This was it. The opportunity I'd been yearning for, the chance to break free from the confines of the Academy and embrace the unknown. The Vanguard was a marvel of engineering, a sleek, silver predator designed to withstand the rigors of interstellar travel. It boasted state-of-the-art labs, advanced sensor arrays, and a crew composed of the Federation's finest explorers, scientists, and strategists, all united by a thirst for discovery. And they were looking for a chief xenobiologist. I pored over the mission details, the excitement battling with the familiar voice of caution. This wasn't a research grant or a symposium. This was a one-way ticket into the black, a journey fraught with danger with the potential for unimaginable discovery or irreversible disaster. But the lure of the unknown was too strong to resist. I submitted my application, my fingers trembling with a mix of anticipation and fear. That evening, I found Leora in her quarters, the soft glow of the holographic display casting an ethereal light on her sharp features. She was reviewing tactical simulations, her brow furrowed in concentration. "Leora," I began, my voice betraying my nervousness. "I have something to tell you." She glanced up, her expression softening slightly. "What is it, Elias?" I applied for a position on the ISS Vanguard." The words hung in the air, the silence punctuated only by the hum of the display. Leora's eyebrows arched, a flicker of amusement crossing her face. "The Vanguard," she repeated, her voice laced with disbelief. "Elias, don't be ridiculous." "I'm serious," I insisted, my voice gaining strength. "It's a deep space mission, exploring uncharted territories. It's everything I've ever dreamed of." Leora laughed, a sharp, dismissive sound that cut through my enthusiasm. "You? On a frontier vessel? You're a scientist, Elias, not an adventurer. You belong here in the Academy, where your talents can be put to good use." "But don't be foolish, darling," she interrupted, her voice taking on a patronizing tone. "You wouldn't last a week out there. It's dangerous, unpredictable. You're not cut out for that kind of life." Her words stung, a barb aimed at my deepest insecurities. Was she right? Was I just a lab rat, too comfortable in my sterile environment to face the challenges of the real world? "I can handle it," I retorted, my voice rising in defiance. "I'm not afraid of a little risk." Leora sighed, her expression a mix of exasperation and pity. "Elias, be realistic. You're a researcher, an academic. You're not a soldier, not an explorer. You belong here, with me, where you're safe." Safe. The word echoed in my mind, a cage of its own making. Was safety all I wanted? Was that all I was capable of? "Maybe you're right," I said, my voice faltering. But even as the words left my lips, a seed of doubt had been planted. Leora's dismissiveness, her subtle undermining of my dreams, ignited a spark of rebellion within me. Was this the life I truly wanted? Or was I simply conforming to her expectations, sacrificing my own desires for the sake of a relationship that felt increasingly suffocating? The questions lingered, a storm brewing beneath the surface of my carefully constructed life. The call of the Vanguard, the allure of the unknown, was a siren song, beckoning me towards a different path, a path of adventure, of self-discovery, of a life lived on my own terms. The image of the ISS Vanguard, a sleek silver spearhead poised to pierce the veil of the unknown, haunted my waking thoughts. It was a symbol of everything I craved: adventure, challenge, the chance to contribute to something bigger than myself. But it was also a threat, a disruption to the carefully ordered life I'd built with Leora. I found myself pacing the sterile confines of my lab, the rhythmic hum of the equipment a counterpoint to the turmoil in my mind. Duty, logic, and Leora's expectations all pointed towards staying at the Academy. But a deeper instinct, a primal yearning for something more, urged me to break free. Leora, of course, had doubled down on her campaign to keep me tethered to the familiar. She painted vivid pictures of the dangers of deep space exploration, unstable wormholes, hostile alien life, the risk of vanishing without a trace in the vast expanse of the galaxy. And she contrasted those dangers with the comfort and security of a life within the Academy, a life where my talents would be appreciated, my future assured. "Elias," she'd say, her voice laced with a concerned tenderness that tugged at my heartstrings, "why would you risk everything for a fleeting adventure? We have a future here, a life together. Don't throw it all away for a foolish dream." And I'd waver. Her words, wrapped in the guise of love and concern, played on my doubts, my fears. Was I being selfish, prioritizing my own desires over the stability of our relationship? Was I truly capable of handling the challenges of deep space exploration? But then, in the quiet moments, when the hum of the Academy faded and Leora's persuasive voice was absent, the seeds of doubt would sprout. I'd recall the subtle ways she steered my decisions, the casual dismissals of my aspirations, the underlying assumption that my path should align with hers. I remembered the time I'd expressed an interest in joining a research expedition to a newly discovered planet. Leora had scoffed, reminding me of the dangers, the unnecessary risks involved in such ventures. "Your talents are better utilized here, Elias," she'd said, "where you can contribute to the advancement of the Federation, not risk your life on some wild goose chase." And I'd acquiesced, bearing my disappointment under the weight of her expectations. But now, looking back, I wondered if her concern was truly for my well-being or for her own ambitions. Did she want me by her side, a brilliant but compliant partner, or did she see me as a potential threat to her own rise within the Federation ranks? The questions gnawed at me, eroding the foundation of trust upon which our relationship was built. Was I truly in love with Leora, or was I simply comfortable in the life we'd created together? Was I choosing her, or was I choosing the path of least resistance? The conflict raged within me, a battle between the familiar comfort of my current life and the alluring unknown of the Vanguard mission. And as the days passed, the pull of the unknown grew stronger, the seeds of doubt blossoming into a quiet rebellion against the life that had been chosen for me, not by me. The corridor outside Leora's office was dimly lit, the only sound the rhythmic hum of the ventilation system. I'd intended to surprise her with a late-night visit, a peace offering after a particularly tense discussion about my application to the Vanguard, but the sound of her voice, sharp and clipped, stopped me in my tracks. "He's been acting strangely," Leora was saying, her tone laced with a hint of annoyance. "Distracted, preoccupied. He even submitted an application to that ridiculous Vanguard mission." A deeper voice, gruff and authoritative, rumbled in response. "The Vanguard? That's hardly suitable for a man of his talents. He belongs here, at the Academy." "Precisely," Leora agreed. "But he seems determined to throw his career away on some foolish adventure." I had to intervene. Intervene. The word hung in the air, a chilling testament to her controlling nature. "Intervene?" the official questioned, a hint of curiosity in his voice. "I pulled some strings," Leora admitted, her tone casual. "Adjusted his application score, flagged some concerns about his psychological profile. Nothing major, just enough to ensure he doesn't make the cut." My blood ran cold. The casualness with which she admitted to manipulating the system, to sabotaging my dreams, was a revelation. All this time, I'd believed she was genuinely concerned for my well-being, that her objections to the Vanguard mission stemmed from a place of love and protectiveness. But the truth was far more sinister. She saw me as an asset, a tool to be utilized in her own climb up the Federation ladder. My dreams, my aspirations, were irrelevant, mere obstacles to be removed from her carefully calculated path. "He's a brilliant scientist, of course," Leora continued, her voice laced with a condescending fondness. "But he lacks ambition. He needs guidance, a firm hand to steer him towards his true potential. And that's where I come in." The official chuckled. "Indeed, Captain Renfield, your influence is undeniable. The High Council holds you in high regard, and with Dr. Kane by your side, your future is assured." Their laughter echoed down the corridor, a mocking counterpoint to the shattering of my illusions. I stood there, frozen in place, the weight of their words crushing the last vestiges of my naive trust. Leora, the woman I loved, the woman I'd planned to spend my life with, had been playing a game in which I was merely a pawn. Anger surged through me, hot and consuming, but beneath the anger, a deeper emotion took root: disappointment. Disappointment in Leora, in myself, in the relationship that had been built on a foundation of lies and manipulation. I turned and walked away, my footsteps silent on the polished floor. I didn't confront her, didn't demand an explanation. There was no need. The overheard conversation had revealed everything I needed to know. As I walked back to my lab, the hum of the academy seemed to mock me, a constant reminder of the gilded cage I'd been living in. But now the cage door was open. Leora's betrayal had severed the ties that had bound me, freeing me to pursue my own path, to reclaim the dreams I had buried, to become the man I was always meant to be. The Academy's administrative system was a labyrinthine beast, designed to deter impulsive actions and maintain the carefully calibrated order of the Federation. But I was no longer the compliant Dr. Kane, content to navigate the bureaucracy with polite requests and deferential smiles. I was a man on a mission, fueled by a righteous anger and a newfound determination. I bypassed the usual channels, ignoring the protocols and procedures that had governed my life for so long. I dug deep into the system, exploiting my knowledge of its inner workings, until I found what I was looking for: an override protocol, a rarely used function reserved for emergencies and special circumstances. With trembling fingers, I filed the request, attaching my original application, my qualifications, my justifications. I laid bare my passion for xenobiology, my yearning for exploration, my belief that I could contribute significantly to the Vanguard mission. And I ended with a simple, defiant statement. I request that my application be reviewed on its merits, free from any external influence or bias. It was a gamble, a shot in the dark. But as I hit the submit button, a wave of relief washed over me. I had taken action, seized control of my own destiny. The rest was out of my hands. The next few hours were a blur of activity. I packed my personal belongings, the essentials for a journey into the unknown. Research notes, field equipment, a few cherished mementos, the remnants of my old life distilled into a single travel bag. My lab, with its sterile equipment and meticulously organized specimens, felt like a relic of a past I was shedding. The comm panel blinked, a message from Leora. I ignored it. There was nothing left to say. The time for explanations and apologies was over. A knock on the door startled me. Leora stood in the doorway, her face pale, her eyes wide with disbelief. "Elias?" she gasped. "What's going on? They said you filed an override request for the Vanguard mission." I met her gaze, my expression resolute. "That's right," I said. "But why?" she stammered. "I thought we discussed this. You agreed to stay." "I changed my mind," I said, my voice firm. "But your career, our future?" "My future," I corrected, "not ours. I'm not living your life anymore, Leora. I'm choosing my own path." She stepped closer, her voice dropping to a desperate plea. "Elias, please, don't do this. Don't throw everything away. We can make this work. I need you." "You needed me to be your accessory, your compliant partner," I countered. "But that's not who I am. I'm not content to live in your shadow, to have my dreams crushed by your ambition." Her eyes hardened, a flicker of the control I'd once found alluring now repelling me. "You're being foolish," she said, her voice laced with a warning. "This is a mistake you'll regret." "Maybe," I said, shouldering my bag. "But it's my mistake to make. I'm done living someone else's life. I'm done letting you dictate my choices." I walked past her, out of the lab, out of the academy, and into the unknown. As I stepped onto the transport platform, the hum of the academy fading behind me, I felt a surge of liberation, a sense of purpose I had never known before. I was finally free. The ISS Vanguard was a world apart from the sterile confines of the Academy. Gone were the polished white corridors and the hushed whispers of intellectual discourse. In their place were the metallic gleam of advanced technology, the thrum of powerful engines, and the boisterous energy of a crew eager to push the boundaries of known space. I stepped onto the bridge, my senses overwhelmed by the sheer scale of it all. Holographic displays shimmered with star charts and sensor readings. Crew members moved with practiced efficiency, their voices a symphony of commands and confirmations. This was a living organism, a vessel pulsing with purpose, a testament to humanity's relentless drive to explore the unknown. My quarters, though compact, were a marvel of efficiency. A personalized workspace, a comfortable sleeping pod, and a window offering a breathtaking view of the receding Academy, now a distant beacon against the backdrop of the star-dusted void. A wave of nostalgia washed over me, a bittersweet ache for the life I'd left behind. But it was quickly replaced by a surge of anticipation, a thrill of embarking on a journey that had once been a distant dream. "Dr. Kane?" A gruff voice boomed behind me. I turned to see a man with a weathered face and eyes that held the wisdom of 1,000 journeys. This was Captain Jericho, a legend among the Federation's explorers, a man who had charted more star systems than I had research papers. "Captain," I said, extending my hand, "it's an honor." He grasped my hand in a grip that could crush steel. "The honor's mine, Doc. We need a keen mind like yours out here on the frontier. Welcome aboard the Vanguard." His words, though gruff, held a warmth that surprised me. This wasn't the stern, authoritarian figure I'd expected. This was a man who thrived on the challenges of exploration, who embraced the risks with a quiet confidence that inspired respect. "Ready to push the boundaries of known space, Doc?" he asked, a twinkle in his eye. "Ready as I'll ever be, Captain," I replied, feeling a grin spread across my face. The first few days aboard the Vanguard were a whirlwind of orientation and introductions. I met the crew, a diverse mix of scientists, engineers, navigators, and security personnel, each with their own unique skills and personalities. There was Dr. Anya Petrova, the astrophysicist with a dry wit and a passion for black holes. Lieutenant Commander Jackson Riley, the pilot with a devil-may-care attitude and nerves of steel. And Chief Engineer Maya Singh, whose calm efficiency masked a fierce intellect. I explored the ship, marveling at the advanced technology that powered it. The labs were equipped with instruments that would make the Academy's researchers drool with envy. The mess hall offered a surprisingly varied menu thanks to the ship's hydroponics bay and the ingenuity of the galley crew. And the recreation deck, with its holographic simulators and zero-gravity sports arena, promised a welcome escape from the rigors of deep space exploration. But it was the sense of purpose that permeated the Vanguard that truly captivated me. This wasn't just a ship, it was a community, a team united by a shared mission, to explore the unknown, to expand humanity's understanding of the universe, to push the boundaries of what was possible. As I stood on the observation deck, gazing at the vast expanse of stars stretching out before us, I felt a thrill of anticipation, a sense of embarking on a journey that would change me forever. There was fear, of course, the natural trepidation of venturing into the unknown, but it was overshadowed by a profound sense of excitement, a feeling that I was finally where I belonged, among the pioneers and explorers, the dreamers and the doers, the men and women who dared to reach for the stars. The first wormhole jump was an experience that defied description. One moment we were staring at the familiar tapestry of stars. The next we were hurtling through a tunnel of swirling colors and distorted space-time, my stomach lurching in protest. Then, just as abruptly, we emerged into a new star system, a cluster of celestial bodies unlike anything I'd ever seen. "Welcome to the uncharted territory, Doc," Captain Jericho said with a grin, his eyes twinkling with excitement. "Ready to make some history?" And make history we did. The Vanguard became our home, our laboratory, our vessel of discovery. We surveyed planets with shimmering rings and swirling atmospheres, encountered life forms that defied classification, and mapped celestial phenomena that challenged our understanding of the universe. My days were a blur of activity. As chief xenobiologist, I was responsible for analyzing alien life forms, assessing potential threats, and cataloging the incredible biodiversity we encountered. I spent hours in the labs, dissecting strange creatures with iridescent skin, studying plants that communicated through bioluminescent signals, and cultivating microbes that thrived in environments that would be lethal to humans. "This is incredible, Elias!" Anya exclaimed one day, her voice filled with awe as she examined the data from a newly discovered gas giant. "The atmospheric composition is unlike anything we've ever encountered. It's like a living chemistry experiment." "And look at this," I said, pointing to the sensor readings from a nearby moon. "The energy signatures suggest a complex ecosystem beneath the ice. There could be life down there, Anya. Life that's evolved in complete isolation." The thrill of discovery was intoxicating. My curiosity, once stifled by the confines of the academy, was unleashed, fueled by the endless wonders of the unknown. I thrived in this environment, my skills and knowledge valued, my contributions essential to the success of the mission. "Kane," Captain Jericho said one evening as we were reviewing the day's findings on the bridge, "your work is invaluable. You're not just cataloging alien life, you're helping us understand our place in the universe." His words, though simple, meant the world to me. Here on the Vanguard, I wasn't just a scientist. I was an explorer, a pioneer, a vital part of a team that was pushing the boundaries of human knowledge. But exploration wasn't without its challenges. We encountered storms that buffeted the ship with unrelenting fury, navigated asteroid fields that tested the limits of our piloting skills, and faced the ever-present threat of the unknown, the lurking dangers that lay hidden in the uncharted depths of space. "Incoming transmission, Captain," Jackson announced one tense afternoon, his voice tight with urgency. "Unidentified vessel approaching. No transponder signal." The bridge fell silent, the air thick with tension. We'd encountered other species before, some curious, some cautious, some outright hostile. This could be a first contact situation, a diplomatic opportunity, or a prelude to conflict. "Shields up," Captain Jericho commanded, his voice calm but firm. "All hands to battle stations. Dr. Kane, I need you on the bridge. Let's see what we're dealing with." As I rushed to my station, my heart pounding with a mix of fear and excitement, I realized that this was the reality of deep space exploration. It wasn't just about scientific discovery. It was about survival, about facing the unknown with courage and ingenuity. And as the unidentified vessel loomed closer, its intentions unclear, I knew that I was exactly where I was meant to be, on the front lines of human exploration, pushing the boundaries of knowledge and facing the challenges of the universe head-on. The anomaly appeared on our long-range scanners as a blip, a distortion in the fabric of space-time. At first, we dismissed it as a sensor glitch, a phantom echo in the vast emptiness. But as we approached, the blip solidified, resolving into a structure of impossible angles and shimmering surfaces, an alien artifact suspended in the void like a forgotten dream. "What in the cosmos?" Jackson breathed, his usual swagger replaced by a stunned awe. "Sensors indicate an active energy source, Captain," Anya reported, her voice tight with a mix of excitement and apprehension. "It appears to be some kind of beacon, emitting a complex signal." "A beacon?" Jericho echoed, his brow furrowed. "Sending a message to whom?" That was the question that consumed us. The artifact, a silent sentinel in the cosmic darkness, pulsed with an energy that defied our understanding. It was a riddle wrapped in an enigma, a challenge that ignited our curiosity and stoked our fears in equal measure. I led the analysis team, our collective expertise focused on deciphering the alien technology. We probed the artifact with scanners, analyzed the energy patterns, and attempted to translate the complex signals that emanated from its core. It was like dissecting a living puzzle, each piece revealing a glimpse of a consciousness beyond our comprehension. "The signal is structured," I reported to Jericho, my voice filled with a mix of excitement and trepidation. "It's not random noise. It's a message, Captain. A message intended for someone. Or something," The implications were staggering. Were we dealing with a communication buoy, a cosmic signpost left by an advanced civilization? Or was it a distress call, a warning beacon signaling an impending threat? "We need to decipher it, Elias," Jericho said, his voice grave. "This could be a first contact situation, a chance to establish communication with another intelligent species. Or it could be something far more dangerous." The weight of responsibility settled on my shoulders. This wasn't just about scientific curiosity anymore. This was about the safety of the Federation, the potential fate of humanity. But along with the pressure came a surge of confidence, a belief in my abilities, a conviction that I was the right person, in the right place, at the right time. Days turned into weeks as we delved deeper into the mysteries of the artifact. Sleep became a luxury, meals a hurried necessity, our lives consumed by the relentless pursuit of understanding. The crew worked tirelessly, their diverse skills and perspectives converging on a single goal: to crack the code, to unravel the secrets of the alien beacon. "I think I've found something," Maya announced one evening, her eyes shining with triumph. "There's a repeating pattern in the energy fluctuations, a kind of mathematical language embedded within the signal." "A mathematical language?" Anya echoed, her voice laced with intrigue. "That's fascinating, and incredibly complex." We huddled around the displays, our minds working in concert, piecing together the fragments of the alien message. It was a grueling process, fraught with frustration and setbacks. But with each breakthrough, each decoded symbol, the excitement grew, the sense of purpose intensified. And as I stared at the alien script, the symbols swirling and shifting before my eyes, I felt a profound connection to the unknown, a sense of kinship with the intelligence that had created this enigmatic artifact. We were separated by vast distances, by eons of time, yet united by the universal language of curiosity, the relentless drive to explore, to understand, to connect. The artifact, once a silent sentinel, was now a bridge, a link to a reality beyond our comprehension. And as we worked to decipher its secrets, I knew that we were not just unraveling a cosmic mystery. We were embarking on a journey of self-discovery, a journey that would redefine our place in the universe and challenge everything we thought we knew about ourselves and the cosmos we inhabited. The sleek lines of the diplomatic envoy ship cut through the darkness, its arrival a stark contrast to the rugged functionality of the Vanguard. It docked with a hiss of pressurized air, its polished hull gleaming under the artificial lights of the docking bay. And from it emerged Leora, her uniform crisp, her expression a mixture of apprehension and determination. She'd changed. Gone was the unwavering confidence, the subtle arrogance that had once characterized her. In its place was a weariness, a vulnerability that I'd never seen before. The months since our last encounter had clearly taken their toll. "Elias," she said, her voice softer than I remembered, "can we talk?" I nodded, leading her to a quiet corner of the observation deck, away from the bustle of the crew and the ever-present hum of the ship's systems. The stars stretched out before us, a silent backdrop to the drama unfolding within our small human sphere. I owe you an apology," she began, her eyes fixed on the distant constellations. "I was wrong, Elias. Wrong to manipulate you, wrong to stifle your dreams, wrong to try and control your life." Her words, though unexpected, weren't entirely surprising. The Leora I knew was capable of ruthlessness, but also of introspection. The challenges she'd faced in my absence, the consequences of her own actions, had clearly forced her to reevaluate her priorities, her ambitions. "I understand," I said, my voice carefully neutral. "But understanding doesn't erase the past, Leora." "I know," she said, her voice thick with regret. "And I'm not asking you to forget, but I'm asking for another chance. A chance to prove that I've changed, that I can be the partner you deserve." I looked at her, searching for the woman I'd once loved, the woman I'd envisioned a future with. There were glimpses of her, echoes of the warmth and intelligence that had drawn me to her in the first place. But there was also a distance, a chasm created by her betrayal, a chasm I wasn't sure could be bridged. "Leora," I said, my voice gentle but firm. I appreciate your apology, and I believe you've changed. But I've changed too. I'm not the same man you left behind. She nodded, her eyes filled with a sadness that mirrored my own. I see that, she whispered. You're thriving out here. You found your place. I have, I said, a quiet conviction in my voice. I've found a life that challenges me, that fulfills me, that allows me to be me. She reached out, her fingers brushing against mine. A spark of the old connection flared, a flicker of the familiar longing. But it was quickly extinguished by the realization that the past couldn't be undone, that the choices we'd made had irrevocably altered our paths. I don't blame you for leaving, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I pushed you away. I tried to control you, to mold you into something you weren't. I was blinded by my own ambition, by my fear of losing you to something I couldn't understand. And now? I asked, my voice soft. She looked up, her eyes meeting mine with a newfound honesty. Now I understand. I see the passion in your eyes, the excitement, the sense of purpose. It's inspiring. A bittersweet smile touched my lips. Thank you, Leora, but it's not your passion to share anymore. It's mine. She nodded, a single tear tracing a path down her cheek. I know, she said, and I wish you all the best, Elias. Truly, I do. We sat in silence for a moment, the weight of unspoken words hanging between us. Then Leora rose, her shoulders straightening with a newfound resolve. Goodbye, Elias, she said, her voice steady. And thank you for showing me what it means to be free. She turned and walked away, her figure receding into the shadows of the docking bay. I watched her go, a wave of sadness washing over me. But beneath the sadness, there was a sense of peace, a recognition that our paths, once intertwined, had diverged, leading us to different destinies, different definitions of happiness. And as I turned back to the stars, the vast expanse of the unknown beckoning me forward, I knew that I was exactly where I was meant to be. Leora's departure left a strange emptiness in its wake, a silence where her voice had been, a ghost of her presence in the corridors we'd walked together. I found myself drawn to the observation deck, the stars a familiar comfort in the face of this unexpected emotional turbulence. As I gazed at the swirling nebulae and distant galaxies, a realization dawned. Leora's world, the world of ambition and political maneuvering, of carefully calculated paths and strategic alliances, was no longer mine. I'd tasted freedom, the exhilaration of pushing beyond the known, the satisfaction of contributing to something larger than myself. My home was no longer within the sterile confines of the academy, but out here, amongst the stars, where the unknown beckoned and the possibilities were endless. I thought back to our last conversation, her words echoing in the silence of my thoughts. You've found your place. She was right. I had. Not in a position, not in a relationship, but in a purpose. The yearning that had haunted me for so long, the restless dissatisfaction with my safe, predictable life, had led me here, to the vanguard, to a life of exploration and discovery, of challenges and triumphs. I wasn't the same man who had walked out of the academy, the man who had sought validation in Leora's approval, who had allowed his dreams to be overshadowed by her ambition. I was a scientist, yes, but also an explorer, an adventurer, a pioneer pushing the boundaries of human knowledge. I was a man who had found his voice, his confidence, his own definition of fulfillment. The comm panel chimed, a message from Leora. I hesitated, a flicker of the old attachment stirring within me, but it was quickly extinguished by the realization that there was nothing left to say. Our paths had diverged, our destinies redefined. I closed the comm panel, a silent farewell to the past, a quiet embrace of the future. As I stood on the observation deck, the stars swirling around me like a cosmic dance, I reflected on the journey that had brought me here, the pain of betrayal, the liberation of letting go, the joy of self-discovery. It had been a tumultuous ride, a shedding of old skins, a rebirth into a life of authenticity and purpose. I thought of the academy, its sterile halls now a distant memory. I thought of Leora, her ambition and her regrets. And I thought of the Vanguard, its crew, its mission, its promise of endless possibilities. And as the ship surged forward, hurtling towards the next unknown horizon, I whispered a final farewell, a message carried on the cosmic winds. You once told me I belonged in a safe place. You were right. It just wasn't with you